You guys were right once again. You guys were right once again. And the more I look at these stats that are being highlighted by ESPN and national media, the more I realize that they are excluding Caitlin Clark and erasing her from history once again.
Well, Olivia, you are making history in the WNBA, not just for a rookie, but for any player. The fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists.
The fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. Wow, this is my first time hearing that, actually. So Holly didn't even say it was just for rookies. She said it was for all time. Oh my goodness. They're kind of erasing Caitlin Clark from history to prop up others. They tried it with Paige, Angel Reese, now Olivia Miles. Doesn't make any sense to me. You know what they say, not providing full context is just as good as lying. But I'm just here to let you guys know that it's definitely an agenda going on right in front of our face.
Caught, not accused, not suspected, caught red-handed. Dates lined up, receipts in hand, real numbers side by side. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because ESPN Insights didn't slip up once with Caitlin Clark's stats, they did it again and again. That's not an accident. That's a pattern. And patterns don't happen by chance. Here's the proof. Between June 29th and July 22nd, ESPN Insights dropped 4 separate graphics, all claiming Olivia Miles was the fastest player out there. For crowns, in under a month.
I apologize for not looking into this sooner. There are 2 standards being applied to Caitlin Clark's rookie season and Olivia Miles' rookie season. Olivia Miles' rookie season versus WNBA all-time history.
And here's the part that should really get under your skin. Every single one of those graphics used a different cutoff for the stats. Not a small tweak, not a rounding difference. We're talking completely different standards, reset each time, like the rules kept changing just to land on the answer they wanted.
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys remember last time when Holly Rowe and Olivia Miles, the last time they got in front of a microphone, and Holly Rowe said Olivia Miles was the fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists, and we debunked that, and we found that to be false. That record actually belongs to Caitlin.
Every single time, they didn't just move the goalposts, they tore them down and built new ones. Think about what real stat tracking is supposed to look like. A publication you actually trust picks one category and rides with it, game after game. Season after season, whether the numbers agree with them or not. That's the job. That's the discipline. ESPN Insights did the opposite. The moment a category stopped giving them the answer they wanted, they just grabbed a new one.
I did some more digging with the facts that ESPN are posting on social media, talking about after games, about Olivia Miles' stat lines, and I started to realize that they were excluding Caitlin Clark from history. This is insane what's happening, and it's going unaddressed by national media, the sports industry. I don't know how much longer this can continue before someone's...
That's not tracking a record. That's shopping for one. Trying on stats until something fits. Let's break it down piece by piece, because the details are where this whole thing falls apart. June 29th, ESPN drops a graphic. The claim? Olivia Miles is the fastest player ever to reach 350 points and 100 assists.
Olivia Miles is the fastest player to 350 plus points and 100 assists, passing Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. Now I said, you know what? Let me do some research into this as well, because if that stat was wrong on national TV, what else could be wrong that they're telling?
Watch closely, because something is missing here, and once you spot it, you'll never unsee it. Rebounds. Olivia Miles pulled down 91 of them. Caitlin Clark had 104 in the exact same number of games. Clark clears that bar easily. Miles doesn't. So what happens? Rebounds just vanish from the category. Gone. Like they were never part of the conversation. That's not an accident. That's someone building a stat line to order, picking and choosing until the numbers point where they want them to point. Let's start from the beginning, because the details tell the whole story. The first graphic dropped, and it claimed Olivia Miles was the fastest player to hit 350 points and 100 assists. Sounds impressive, right? But hold on. Go back just a little further, and an ESPN broadcaster had already said something different on air. She said Miles was the fastest to reach 300 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists. 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. Say that again slowly, because it matters. So what happened to the rebounds? Why did the numbers suddenly jump from 300 to 350? And why did rebounds disappear completely from the graphic? Here's the answer nobody wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark already had 104 rebounds. She qualified for that exact milestone. Olivia Miles hadn't even cracked 100 yet. So the moment rebounds stayed in the equation, Clark got there first. The fix was simple: raise the points threshold just enough and quietly erase the rebounding requirement altogether. And notice something else while we're here. Why didn't they ask for 150 assists to match that new, inflated 350-point mark? Because Miles was nowhere close to that either. The bar only moves in directions that protect the story. It never moves in a direction that tests it. 2 weeks later, a new graphic appeared. And this time, the numbers changed again. 400 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. Rebounds are suddenly back in the picture. Why? Because by this point, Miles had finally crossed the 100 rebound mark herself. So the barrier that got quietly removed 2 weeks earlier magically reappears the moment it stops being a problem. Exclude rebounds when it helps. Include rebounds when it helps. Same category, 2 different rules, timed perfectly around one player. Then came a third graphic, less than 3 weeks after that. This time the claim was 500 points and 150 assists, reached in just 26 games. And once again, rebounds are nowhere to be found. Now here's what should catch your attention. The points threshold finally looks consistent. But watch the assist number. It jumps from 100 all the way up to 150. Why? Because that's exactly the number needed to edge out 2 other rising stars who'd already hit similar marks in fewer games. One of them got there in 28 games. The other, Caitlin Clark, got there in 29. Convenient timing. Almost too convenient. Now let's line up the actual game logs, because this is where the pattern becomes impossible to deny. At the 19-game mark, Miles had 356 points to Clark's 308. But Clark was ahead in assists, 128 to 109, and ahead in rebounds, 104 to 91. At 21 games, Miles had 393 points, 101 rebounds, and 118 assists. But Clark already had more than 300 points, along with 119 rebounds and a staggering 149 assists. By 24 games, Clark had crossed 400 points, with 142 rebounds and 188 assists, while Miles sat at 458 points, but only 112 rebounds and 141 assists. At 25 games, Miles reached 490 points, 120 rebounds, and 149 assists, and Clark, even with fewer points at 421, was still ahead in both rebounds and assists, with 145 and 194. See the pattern. At every single checkpoint, Clark leads in rebounds and assists. Every time that gap widened, the category quietly shifted again. That's not coincidence. That's construction. And here's the piece that should end the debate entirely. When that broadcaster described Miles reaching 300 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists, she didn't say fastest rookie. She said fastest player, any player. That phrasing implies an all-time league record. But that record already belonged to Caitlin Clark. Nobody scripted that slip. It came straight from ESPN's own broadcast, on their own platform, and it accidentally confirmed the truth everyone else was trying to bury. Clark got there first. Let's be fair about the bigger picture too. In those same 26 games, Clark wasn't just producing more points. She was out-rebounding, out-assisting, and doing it all while heading into a stretch that included the Olympic break. Leaving that context out isn't neutral reporting. Leaving out context that changes the entire meaning of a stat is its own kind of dishonesty. Now here's the coldest piece of evidence in this entire story, the silence. At the 25-game mark, Miles had 490 points and 149 assists. She was one single point and one single assist away from hitting that flashy 500 and 150 combination ESPN had already been building toward. She was standing right on the doorstep. And ESPN posted nothing. No graphic. No milestone. No countdown. Because 490 isn't 500 and 149 isn't 150. And this time the threshold actually had to hold up if anyone bothered to check it. There was no room left to bend the numbers. So instead of adjusting the category one more time, they simply waited. And that silence tells you everything. Somebody was watching those numbers closely enough to know exactly when to post and exactly when to stay quiet. Think about that for a second. If they'd wanted to, they could have dropped rebounds again, kept the 100 assist mark, and posted another Miles passes Clark graphic without blinking. They didn't. Because for every graphic that doesn't get posted after one of her games, there's a very simple explanation. Clark still holds that record. And when she does hold it, the safest move is to change the measuring stick until she doesn't. Meanwhile, across those same games, 19, 21, 24, and 25, Clark was putting up numbers that, on any other player, in any other week, would have flooded the timeline with graphics and highlight reels. Instead, using the exact same box scores and the exact same game logs, ESPN's Insights account said nothing, then turned around and spent nearly a month building 4 separate designs, for separate thresholds, for separate celebrations, for someone else. That contrast, sitting side by side, tells the whole story better than any single graphic could. And this isn't an isolated moment either. This same player was ranked 9th in the league last season by her peers and 11th this season, despite ranking among the very best guards in the league statistically. So while the graphics department is quietly rebuilding categories to keep her out of the record books, something similar seems to be happening in the locker room polls too. Different room, same pattern. It shows up on the court as well. There's a noticeable difference in how physically she gets guarded compared to others, especially around foul calls in certain matchups. And then there's the numbers around flagrant fouls, a striking share of them during the 2024 season connected to her, many coming from one particular rival team and a specific group of opposing players. Now, to be completely fair, some of those specific figures haven't been fully, officially verified, so take that piece with a grain of salt. It's not gospel, but when you place it next to everything the graphics department has clearly done, it paints the same picture from a different angle. There's a consistent lack of respect running through this. Not in how she's covered on air, not in how her peers rank her, and not in how she's defended on the floor. Let's be absolutely clear about one thing, though. This isn't about tearing down Olivia Miles. She's earned everything she's produced on the court this season, and she's genuinely having a great year. She may not even realize she's being used as a tool here, a vehicle to quietly rewrite someone else's record. She's not the villain in this story. The real problem sits with the department putting these graphics together. And here's why it actually matters beyond the numbers themselves. Casual fans don't dig through box scores. They don't cross-reference game logs. They scroll, they see a slick stat card, a clean graphic, a confident headline, and they believe it. That's not a flaw in them. That's just how information spreads. Most people have zero reason to fact-check something posted by a platform with ESPN's size and reputation. And that trust is exactly what's being taken advantage of here. When you have that much reach, you're not just reporting history, you're writing the first draft of it. And right now, that first draft is being edited. Clark's legacy was never actually at risk because of anything she did on the court. It's at risk because the people controlling the information around women's basketball decided they preferred a different storyline, and they were willing to shift the goalposts publicly, repeatedly, to make that storyline stick. Their own carelessness is what exposed them. If they'd picked one honest threshold and stuck with it from the start, nobody would have noticed a thing. Instead, they changed it 4 times in under a month, and now there's a paper trail. Think about every fastest to graphic, every milestone post that account has ever put out. How many of those had a target built backward from a preferred winner? After this, you can't look at that kind of coverage the same way again. The method's been exposed. And here's the part that should actually make you proud. This wasn't broken by insiders, and it wasn't broken by the sports networks with all their resources. It was broken by fans, the ones paying close enough attention to catch it. People who lined up the graphics side by side. People who tracked the exact game counts. People who took the screenshots before anything could quietly get edited or deleted. Regular fans, armed with nothing but patience, screenshots, and a spreadsheet, did what no press release ever would. Because here's the truth that no amount of category shuffling can touch. Clark's numbers are real. Her production in games 19, 21, 24, and 25 is locked into the record permanently. The box scores don't lie, and they can't be quietly swapped out 2 weeks later. What happened here is obvious now, and it shouldn't get buried. If you've been watching this story unfold and nobody around you seems to notice, you're exactly where you need to be. This is the kind of thing that gets missed unless someone's actually paying attention, pulling the receipts, matching the dates, checking the math. So stay close, because stories like this don't stay hidden for long once people start looking. Hit follow, turn on notifications, And make sure you're not the last one to catch the next one.